All right, sorry about those technical issues. Actually, hold on, let me fix this here. There we go. That's better. Bunch of technical issues trying to get this simulcast on a lot of different platforms. Joseph, can you hear me?
Hey, Ben, yes, I can hear you loud and clear. How's it going?
Okay. All right, great. And hopefully everyone here can also hear me on Twitter while we're getting that recorded. All right. So, wow, today we got a lot of things we have to cover, but our number one pick of the day, this was at 9 a.m. Eastern on our VIP show. We gave it in our chat room at 91 cents. It was STKH, and it was the top pick at 9 a.m. on our VIP show, and that top pick is up 30%. Since pre-market, it's also up very significantly. So we'll come back to this and do an analysis on our top pick that's working out really well. But first, we just got to cover a little bit of the macro. Just want to remind people we have big cap earnings tomorrow. Google, Microsoft, Teladoc, Vicker. We have more big cap earnings on Wednesday. We have FOMC on Wednesday. So all of that can be a risk to the market. So just pay attention to the major indices, and the 20-day moving average on QQQ is your first major level of support. We'll have to see how the data comes out, and we're going to basically evolve to that on a daily basis as we analyze it. Now, our top 5 picks today, we did have one big miss, and that was XXII. XXII, we rode perfectly last week from 250 all the way to 690. Actually, we have a video coming out on that, just showing the uncannily precise calls from 250 to 690. And we called 690 the final target. In retrospect, we should have just gotten all out and never came back in. You can see what happened here. They did another offering right after our show ended this morning at like 9:25 a.m. Another offering. That's 3 offerings in 3 weeks. The company seems to be in disarray. The CEO has now stepped down, but is still on the board. So lots of crazy things going on there. And this should be a lesson, not only in risk management and position sizing, but it should be a lesson in the stock we're playing today. STKH. STKH is up big on a catalyst, on a really good catalyst. It's trying to break above the 200 DMA as we speak, but this has some similarities to XXII in that it's a microcap that needs to raise money. So there's a lot of risk here holding this in after hours. I'm hoping to get the big move that we want out of this today. We already got a big move. Our first target was a 200 DMA right there at 107. So we reduced right there, but we're still holding more. So let's just cover the catalyst and why I think there's a potential to break over the 200 DMA. And look at this. Wow. It's like sky blue. Do we have weekly? Let me see if we have weekly moving averages over here. And I think I'm missing my inline volume. So let me add my inline volume over here. And all right. So I don't have weekly moving averages. I guess not enough data on this one, but this is record, all-time record high volume today, right now. Why do we have all-time record high volume? Because we had a catalyst, which was very significant. Now, we only, at StoryTrading, we only trade stocks we're familiar with. STKH was on our watch list. I had previously done some due diligence on this. I actually reached out to investor relations, so I have an idea what's going on there. And it's a great product that might succeed long-term. It's about creating artificial meat, but they need to raise lots and lots and lots and lots of money. And it could take 5-10 years for all of this to come to fruition. So because of that, I've avoided the stock, but it's been on our watch list. Okay. Now, STKH this morning, the catalyst was that they did a revenue deal. First ever multi-million-dollar agreement. They're getting paid up front now. Okay. You can go and read this, but they're getting paid up front to build out a production facility and scale it out in the Persian Gulf region. It says there's apparently some government money involved in this too. So this is significant in that it's their first major revenue generating deal. So you can expect the stock to go up on something as significant as that. But it's not the most significant type of catalyst you would want for a microcap. And the most significant type of catalyst you want for a microcap is inflection to profitability or a signal from the company that they have enough money to reach profitability. We're not there yet for STKH, which makes this a high risk stock to trade and own. So just be very cautious about that. But that being said, so I was collaborating with our favorite technical trader this morning, Rexman from Rockspear Trading, and we do a show with him every single Thursday at 12 p.m. And he did a chart analysis on this. He thinks if it holds $1, this has a chance to go to the 118s to 130s today. Okay, so the possibility that this breaks out, I think it needs to break up to 200 DMA to do that. It's a little bit different in our analysis. I think if we hold above like 108, we're like 106 right now. So we're very close to there. If we hold above 108 the next few hours, then I think we can see that big move to, he said 118s to 130s. I see the 120 resistance there. Let's see what else we have. But I also think 150 is a big number. I think this has
I see at 132. That's the 50-week moving average at 132. At least that's what's telling me on Weibo.
Right. Okay, so we made some profit. Okay, so be careful. If you're late on this, I'm not going to tell you to jump in now. We jumped in between 91 and 96 cents early this morning. We took some profits at 107. So the remainder we're holding for a potential move to 120s, 130s, towards the 150s. Okay, but be very careful holding this overnight. I'm not sure if we will hold any. We'll have to see how it closes. Maybe we'll hold some, but we're going to be very cautious with our position size. I mean, we ended up holding some XXII and we gave back some of our gains. So that makes me kind of cautious about this. It's just a reminder that microcap companies that need to raise money, they'll often take advantage of the big share price movements. It's up 28%.
Yeah.
You know, their phone may be ringing off the hook from hedge funds who shorted the stock in the open market and say, hey, do an offering. Today's a great time. Let's do the offering. And then the hedge funds that shorted the stock in the open market get to cover by participating in the offering, and they don't even need to cover their short in the open market. That's very often how it goes. So that's a possibility with STKH, but I like it for the rest of the afternoon. So it's unbelievable how, you know, we did have a failed pick here this morning in XXII. I mean, not necessarily too failed. I had some personal shares and I got out at like in the 340s at a loss. But we basically, when we saw that news, we knew it was heading down. It's just that news came right after our morning show. So it looked like it was holding the 380 at the support line we're watching. But then that news came out. And right now, like I would be, if it approaches the 20 DMA, I'm out personally, right? I have a very tiny position as a lottery ticket in my long-term account. But this was really bad news. 3 offerings in 3 weeks, CEO stepping down. It just seems like things are in disarray over there. So XXII turned from our number 5 pick for the day to like not even a pick, right? It's not that's not a stock that I'd like to see anyone be long in today after today's news. So we that quickly failed, like literally like 60 seconds after our show ended this morning. We had to pull it out of our top 5. Joseph, what's on your mind?
No, I'm bored with you on all your comments about STKH and XXII. I think, just going back to what we've seen with XXII and similar microcap companies, I definitely agree that STKH should be, everybody should watch their allocation. And like you said, we got in much earlier and we already taken profits at the 105, 106, 107 area.
Yeah, so if you were a VIP, and there's a 1-week free trial, and it's only $30 a month after that. But if you were a VIP, you would have gotten that little alert at 91 cents, and you would have gotten the whole thesis this morning at 9 a.m. when it was like 94, 95 cents. So it pays to be early and be part of our community. If you're listening on Twitter Spaces, we're on YouTube and on Rumble, so you can see the video and follow along there as well if you'd like. It's youtube.com/storytrading, rumble.com/storytrading. So our number 1 pick, I mean, how often does this work out? It's like, sometimes we can be wrong on, it's not going to be 5 for 5 every day or 3 for 3 every day, but it's uncanny. Like sometimes that number 1 pick really does do the best.
Yeah, it's incredible.
All right. So that was our number 1 pick. Number 2 and 3 picks for the day were NVIDIA and SMCI, NVIDIA continued catalyst every single day with more analyst upgrades, and it's above the 20 DMA. We went over other stocks this morning that had upgrades, analysts coming in. I think Netflix was one of them, but we avoided it. We avoided Netflix on the same catalyst that NVIDIA had because Netflix is in between the 20 and the 50 DMA. I just don't like that technically. So you see how we merge pillars over at StoryTrading. We're not looking at things one-dimensionally. We put it all together, sentiment, catalyst, fundamentals, and technicals, and we made that decision to avoid Netflix but stay in a full position in NVIDIA as it's over the 200, over the 20 DMA, plus continued massive upgrades with big price targets from analysts. And you can go in and check the news on that. We covered it this morning. There it is. Mizuho raised from 400 to 530 on NVIDIA, continues to be one of our top picks, and we marked it as one of our top 3 here for continuation for a green day today, which it's having. Feel free to stop me at any time, Joseph. And by the way, we're going to be here. We'll see if there's enough people watching. So the YouTube stream is bigger than usual today, but go ahead. You can put your questions. We can get to Q&A. If you're on Rumble as well, you can put your questions out there, and we'll stay as long as we can, but usually about 30 minutes. So next pick, number 3, was SMCI. This was a top pick for us last Friday, and it didn't work out yet, but it's stable, and I haven't, changed. Unfortunately, a lot of times their top picks day. So back on Friday, I had a price target of like 325 to re-challenge basically the 52-week high there at 329, right? That was my price target Friday. It didn't work out Friday. Monday, we put it in here again because of the strength of the catalyst from Friday morning. Or it was Thursday morning, the catalyst came out, but we only saw Thursday afternoon. This was basically, look, how many other AI stocks are you going to find? Hyper growth mode, 20 PE, 20s PE, it just doesn't exist. So even though the stock has come up so far, I think fundamentally this stock is probably worth much more. It looks cheap to me here. It really looks cheap to me. And sometimes you have to ignore that chart that it's up so much and just be like, hey, this is a fundamental re-rating and process. So I have conviction that this 20 DMA is going to hold, or I have conviction, and so far I've been wrong, that in a rapid kind of way, we're going to go out and take out that 52-week move, 52-week high at 329 because of the guidance they increased on Friday. But that hasn't happened yet. But I still feel comfortable holding SMCI because of the strength of the fundamentals and the earnings guidance that they upped on Thursday morning.
Yeah, Ben, I just want to say on SMCI, I agree with all that you said, but on top of that, I think it's uncannily how similar the chart is today and on Friday.
Oh yeah, look at that! It's like, oh my gosh, it's a carbon
identical
copy. It is. That's amazing.
I when I saw that first morning price action, looking back at Friday, I sold some like 310, 312, and then I bought some back at like 300 and 304. But then obviously it's actually copying Friday too much, so it went even below that. And now it's come back really nicely. And I think Rex also called the 295 level, which it held, and it bounced nicely off of that. But it's looking like to be a nice one to trade around your core as well on that choppiness. It's incredible. I didn't expect a company like this to be this choppy, but it's proving nice to day trade. And
it's also new for us, so we don't have a good grasp of the personality of this stock yet. This is so we have to figure that out.
It could be right. It could be one of those that is choppy in general.
Okay. Great. So our fourth pick today was PSQH on the dips. This morning, I mean, it was good, right? When early in the morning we were watching this at 18, I didn't get in at 18. I was watching it going up. Even at 9 a.m., I mentioned this looks good. If you were quick, if you got in at a 9 a.m. show, you could have had an exit there at 22. All right, let me switch to, because I can't see. Let's switch to the chart here on my desktop because TD app doesn't have enough data available. They only do 1 day of data on this stock for some reason. So let's go ahead and share my screen here on the desktop, and we can see our E-Trade chart. There it is with after hours, extended hours in here as well. So this is a 5-minute chart. And so look, I'm looking at this through the prism. Last week, we had also similar stock like DWAC in the same kind of sector that exploded. And I was not looking to re-enter DWAC. That was a quick 1 day trade for us right here. We made some good money and we left and we exited. PSQH, I've covered last week and this morning why I think PSQH can be a little different. And you can see it's a little more stable on this pullback than DWAC is. I think PSQH does have a chance to rebound because of sentiment and fundamentals. Because of sentiment and fundamentals, I expect the supports here to be a little more stronger than they are in DWAC and give us a chance to make a move back up towards 25. Now, this is high risk. It's already had a big move. Sometimes lightning doesn't strike twice over here, but we do have a small position, again, because of the strength of the sentiment and fundamentals, the way I described it on my previous shows, not necessarily dollar for dollar, but basically the expectation or the hope that this company can be profitable. It's a new company. A lot of people haven't heard about it. It's right out of the gate, so people tend to be more optimistic at the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
So that you can call it sentiment, but it's sentiment about fundamentals, right? There is a positive sentiment that this company can grow and become profitable one day in a fresh kind of perspective that doesn't exist with DWAC. So, which is why I'm okay that we are trying a small trade in here to get this pullback. And this morning I said 15 to 18 looks like your support area. So right kind of in here, in between here and here is kind of where I see previous resistance. And then this proved to be support right here. Seems to have bounced right above it or maybe right on it right here, actually. Wow, to the penny right there. It bounced off this level. You see, that's crazy. So that's why I'm willing to give this a chance, but it is higher risk. And that's why it was number 4 on our list this morning. So go back here. It was not number 1, 2, or 3. We had PSQH as number 4. And then
that's why, again, like you said, small allocation, just so everybody should,
that gets smaller allocation. And XXII was number 5 because we knew that was the least good of all of them. That, like I just said, it turned out to be off of our list. Our show finished this morning. All right, so I did forget to talk about Overstock this morning. I did mention in the chat room, kind of drawing attention to this because I was there's 2 things. If you go right now to Bed Bath & Beyond, you're going to see 2 things up there. You're going to see, should I share my screen? Let's see. All right, let me share my screen. It'll just be more pretty. All right, so Bed Bath & Beyond. No, that's okay. So Bed Bath & Beyond.com. All right, here we go. So look what happened. Let me share it again. Okay, we got to go here. And we're going to go here. Let's see if that works. Did that work? No, it didn't work. No. So I have to present, share screen, and here we go. Okay, now we're good. So Bed Bath & Beyond, a couple things that's making me bullish. A confluence of catalysts here that I'm going to talk about, and the technicals of Overstock coming towards the 20 DMA, which is going to be support. And I think if you put the 2 together, that 20 DMA support plus the cat, I love how we do. Honestly, there's like, who does this out there? We get a lot of some people hate us because we do this, right? Because there's so many pure technical traders and so many pure fundamental investors. But I really think what we do is the best way to do it, combining a multidisciplinary approach. And I really enjoy doing it. But look at this. Over the weekend, Bed Bath & Beyond says bedbathandbeyond.com will return soon. That was not up there last week. It came up either late last week or over the weekend. Why? Why will it return soon? Because Overstock.com is rebranding to bedbathandbeyond.com, including their apps. When is that happening? It's happening right after all their stores close. So the other thing, which was new, is that they reduced their sales, or increased their sales. It's now 60 to 90% off at the store. So I actually went to Bed Bath & Beyond yesterday to see what they had. Pretty much not much left. But anyway, there was a sign there. It said 8 days left. Right. And it was something like they flip it down 765. So they already have a date, at least for the store in Long Island where I go to, 8 days left. Is that national? I don't know. It makes sense that it might be a national thing. So 8 days left. Maybe that means July 31st because yesterday was July 23rd. Maybe that's what they mean. Maybe all the stores will close August 1st. I did hear from the grapevine that sometime in August is what we heard, that the stores will close. But what happens is once these stores close, then Overstock has the green light to rebrand to Bed Bath & Beyond. They can't do it now because of brand confusion because these are actually 2 different companies, which is really weird. Okay, so now let's close this. Now we can go look at the Overstock chart. Oops, my share thing is really weird. Okay, let's let me share this again. All right, so let's go to, here we go. All right, so now we go to Overstock. All right, and keep that catalyst in your mind. And we're going to go to the daily chart. Oops. Okay, we're on the daily chart, but I gotta go like 6. Okay, and there's a 20 DMA. Okay, now what we do at Story Trading is we combine that catalyst coming up with this 20-day moving average. Look, for me, I have very high conviction based on it's not just the catalyst. What does that catalyst mean for fundamentals? Like I was on the conference call. How many traders do you know that they're listening to conference calls or looking at the catalyst, a multidisciplinary approach? I was on the conference call that Overstock had discussing this rebrand to Bed Bath & Beyond and what it could mean for them fundamentally. And I got an understanding of the magnitude of the numbers. And it's why I think, Overstock can go to $35 to $43, which is the week, 43 is the 200 week moving. I look at that bullish cross trying to form on the weekly. But right there, that's your target right there. 35 candle resistance, 43 is your moving average support. Okay. But going back to that daily moving average, because I think this catalyst is so significant to fundamentals, that's why I'm predicting that the 20 DMA will hold. And I'm willing to take a bet that 20 DMA will hold, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about this process? I just love it, Joseph. Who does this? Who
I
gives
love
you
it
this
too,
type
man.
of multidisciplinary analysis? Like you won't get it anywhere.
Mama, yeah, really, I haven't seen it anywhere. I really haven't, man. It's incredible, and this is why, again, this is really what pushed me to join Story Trading and to start the fund, man. Because this is like you're taking so much into account. It's much deeper process. I think deeper is a good word for this because you go in and you really,
So I moved Overstock up there towards the top of our list. Now it's not working today, but as it's approaching that 20 DMA, I think it's a buy. So Overstock, is it going to start running right, end of July, right before the stores close, or is it going to have its big move after the rebranding? I don't know. I think either could happen. Let me just see what's going on Rumble. Let me see if there's comment. Oh, we do have something. Let's take a quick little pause. Okay, let's see. Oh, it just got on the show. I covered XXII. Exited my shares based on this offering. It's a 267. Warrants are like a 240 something like that. I don't know if it's an easy short, but the company is in disarray right now. I mean, I guess it was easy short if you saw the news at 380 and acted fast. We sold whatever trading shares we had left and took a loss on that last tranche. We still made out big because we were in from 250 to 690 last week and took profits and only got back in smaller size. But XXII, this is just, not an investable company. Let's put it that way. This is not an investable company at this point. But they've now raised 3 times in 3 weeks, and they also announced cost cutting and management changes. Is it possible this is the last raise? If you short here, are you shorting the bottom? I don't know. I wouldn't short right here, right now. Although, it could keep crashing. All right. So it's just, we're not going long at this point. I can tell you that. All right. That was from Marathon. All right. Let's see what else we got. We talked about Netflix. Oh, DRIO had news. I actually reduced DRIO this morning on this news. So I do think technically DRIO can go to 350. So I covered it this morning. I covered DRIO. DRIO was at like 410 this morning. When I was telling you, I think we have a downward bias on DRIO today. So if you've been DRIO, I actually took the opportunity right when I made that comment right afterwards. There's a lot of opportunities to reduce my position because I had a pretty large position. So I actually reduced my position pretty substantially. I still have a nice position, but man, I had it overweight, too overweight in my personal account, not in our hedge fund. So I was lucky, man. I sold a lot of shares at $4.10 in pre-market and really thankful that there was a big buyer there who maybe didn't see the news in time. So that was great. So we had a downward bias for the day based on the news. We don't have time to cover all the news in depth here. If you want that kind of in-depth coverage, you can join us at Story Trading. Let me put the information on how you become a VIP. Here we go. You can watch our pre-market prep daily at 9 a.m. Eastern live on our app. You can just join us at storytrading.com/app and grab a free profile. So another good call there on DRIO to at least avoid the stock. Tesla bouncing back. What can I say? This is a long-term pick for us at this point. 20 DMA is up here at 270. I don't know if it's going to break or when it's going to break, but I like the earnings and we're holding on for the ride.
Yeah.
Simple as that on that Tesla.
And by the way, on Tesla, a lot of bullish stuff on Twitter and from Elon, and I think good sentiment from the whole X thing on Twitter that you spoke about.
I did talk about that last night. I'm
Yeah,
glad you brought that up, because this is one of the X factors I bring into stock analysis, with which a lot of people don't have this X factor in how they
excuse the
analyze
pun.
stocks. What's that?
Excuse the pun.
Yeah, the X factor. Excuse the pun. So look, I view sentiment value as part of fair market value. I reject the idea that the correct price for a stock is based on a fundamental analysis. I think the correct price for a stock is today's price, and that's based on the aggregate opinion of all market participants. So when you think about and consider sentiment, catalysts, fundamentals, and technicals, you arrive to today's price of $267, which is the correct and fair price for Tesla. We live in a very efficient world, very deep liquidity, right? So all market participants together are getting together with all their bear and bull views and saying this is what Tesla's worth today. Embedded in that is a premium. It's a sentiment premium. This is going to drive fundamental investors crazy. Fundamental investors who may be shorting Tesla never understand why is it so expensive, because they don't appreciate that fair value includes sentiment value. And one of the things that happened last night about this X, I think it was Saturday night, and I posted about this in our room, is that when basically Elon Musk makes this power move, this visionary move of switching Twitter to X and everything that involves, of his vision to go to WeChat, this super app, this everything app, that reinforces the idea that basically Elon Musk is a rock star. And if I'm invested in Tesla, I'm invested in this genius who has the gumption to take Twitter, which is who would do that? Who would take the Twitter brand and throw it away and come up with something new? I see that as something actually very bullish.
By the way, Ben, that's why I think even though people don't really bank on this so much, and the regular traders don't really fall into this like you have, but I think it's part of the fact that you see so many people out there, at least people that I know personally, that have all their portfolios in Tesla, and they've had you have these Tesla bulls who have 90% of their money in Tesla, and they just had it sit for years.
Do that.
So it's part of that Elon sentiment, and I think also it's part of the fact that they think Tesla is going to be
and you see this W pattern forming. So in the way I'm not surprised if this 2.67% move has something to do with Twitter being rebranded to X, and that's going to drive everyone. Lots of fundamental investors are going to say I'm crazy, whatever it is. But to me, that's the freaking truth. And maybe that, or maybe something else. But there's definitely a sentiment value, a permanent premium until some event happens which can change that sentiment, right? Yeah. But for right now, he just reinforced that sentiment, and he would just reinforce why Tesla deserves a premium. And I just love it, man. This is the reality of how stocks work. This is the reality of how stocks are valued. What is the fair market value of an asset? This all goes into it. If you're only looking at the fundamental analysis, then you're only getting part of the picture. All right. So what else do we have here? I pretty much went out down the list. There was not a lot of big catalysts this morning. We had a very small list today with STKH as number 1, NVDA SMCI is number 2, and then just, are there pullback technical trading opportunities on PSQH and XXII? Those were our picks for today. And we hit another home run with STKH. So we'll have to see what happens. It's at a support line right here. I think we're most likely going to try to be all out of STKH today. Depending on how it closes, we'll see. Maybe we'll keep a little bit overnight.
I think, again, if we get the numbers that we're looking for today, I think this is part of what you have been speaking about the past few days, that sometimes we get into a trade and we put targets down and we say, okay, we're swinging this to the targets. And it happens to be a lot of times those targets hit on the day. So if they do, okay, we're out. And it's, I guess, considered technically a day trade.
It becomes a day trade, but that was never our intention. These targets hit so fast usually.
STKH is slightly different because I feel like if it doesn't hit our targets today, we'll probably reduce going into.
Well, our target this morning was the 200 DMA, so we actually hit our target.
It was actually done, yeah.
Right, so we actually hit our target. We sold a nice amount, but then we got back in below $1, and we're looking. We did get a retest of that target, looking for a potential breakout, but it didn't completely break out. I still think it's worth holding some here because why? Because of the all-time record volume, 4.1 million shares. You've never seen volume like this before. on a catalyst, which is very significant. So I'm willing to kind of roll the dice for this afternoon and still hold a partial position with for the possibility that you get a further volume surge this afternoon and you break through the 200 DMA.
Yeah, and it's actually on the intraday chart, and sometimes I use these 1 minute 200 MA and the 5 minute 50 MA, and it's actually bouncing off those levels pretty nicely.
I see that right now. I see that. And for those of you who are on Twitter Space, we love you on Twitter Spaces. But if you also want to see what's going on, again, it's youtube.com/StoryTrading, rumble.com/StoryTrading. You can find our live streams there every day at 1 p.m. All right. With that, I don't see any other questions. So you have any final thoughts, Joseph?
Let me have a look. I don't know. I guess just be cautious. Like you mentioned, the earnings week is a tough one. You know what we can expect. We actually have a rule that we don't really play earnings except for our long-term positions. And we have, the Fed on Wednesday. So it's just one of those cautious weeks that I would say.
Yeah. So I think we have a Google position. We may have to close that out before earnings. We'll have to see when. IBM just had their earnings last week. So, right?
Yeah.
IBM just had their earnings last week?
IBM had earnings, yeah.
Okay, so we can keep our IBM position. Yeah, so we'll have to monitor the earnings this week and make sure to take risk off the table, as you said, except for our long-term positions. All right, with that, we're going to play a little video about what story trading is about. If you want to join us again, it's at StoryTrading.com app. We'll see you later. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep, bye-bye.
It's not easy to understand why stocks go up and down, but even in volatile markets, there's always a discoverable and logical reason behind price action. Story Trading is a social investing community of investors who share information to uncover the hidden stories behind the trade through the 4 pillars of fundamentals, catalyst, sentiment, and technicals. All price action can be understood through the lens of these pillars, allowing for a holistic view that empowers better decision-making. Only by understanding markets can you beat them. Join our community today and start making sense of markets.